around the
Good morning, sports fans. Listening to the Colonel and Mr. Bigg. Yes, it's March Madness. We're right in the middle of all of it, and we're going to talk about a little bit of that today. And first of all, we want to welcome the Colonel back home. He's back home in the USA. How you doing, Colonel?
Doing well, still adjusting to the sleep, but overall not too bad. Actually, Jill's still in bed. She wasn't feeling the best today, and I think she's still recovering from,
Really?
the jet lag.
Of course,
So,
you had a
yeah,
busy weekend too, didn't you?
it's been nonstop. Today's a little bit better. We've got to meet some friends for lunch, and then tomorrow there's nothing planned, and we're going to keep it that way. But otherwise, it's been just run, run, run. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
when you're gone that long, I'm sure when you get back, there's a lot of things to do. So,
yeah. A lot of making sure the bills are all paid and the mail is sorted, and then we had a couple of basketball games and seeing family, and so, yeah, it's all good, though, all good.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well,
How
let's
you
get
been?
started. We're going to start with These Pigs Went to Market. And we're going to talk about your final days in Europe and your trip home. And let's talk about some travel while we're at it, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah. Yep, wrap it up. So we were going a month, and we started out in Amsterdam, so we saw Amsterdam for a few days, and then went to Belgium and over to France, drove through France. One thing I didn't realize in France, Tommy, is when you're driving on their roads, their main roads, everything's toll. So there was one day we drove. It was about an 8.5 hour drive, and about 6 hours into it, you take your ticket, and then you get to the other end, and the toll was €90.
Well,
Oh my and their
no wonder
tolls
they
are
have no
everywhere.
wonder they have nice highways over there.
Yeah, it was very expensive. Then we went down to Germany, and then when we were with our son, we went up to Luxembourg and to Belgium again, to Bastogne and Foy. But the last few days, last couple of weeks, we took a couple of trips, saw some castles, and did a lot of walking. We've mentioned before over in Germany, there's walking paths everywhere. They're all paved. And 2 days, over a 2 day period, we walked about 10 or 11 miles just through the countryside. And it's just
Huh.
beautiful over there. And everything's greening up, a lot of rain. Temps were in the mid to upper 50s, and just very beautiful. Over there right now, it's like our May time frame. So
Oh, okay.
it's
Okay.
just very nice. So hoping to
You know,
get
you
back
speak of
over there.
speaking of trails, just briefly, of course, you have the snowmobile trails up there that you can walk whenever you want to. But here we've got asphalt trails that, I mean, you can go from here to Chicago on a bike trail,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
crazy. But I mean, I'm looking at new bikes. I'm getting ready to buy a new bike, and I can ride. If I want to ride 25 miles a day, or if I want to ride 50 miles a day, I could ride around here and never get. Well, you might have to get on the road a little bit, but I think the U.S. is getting more and more of that. We for a long time we had none, and now we're getting more and more of that. As that we see
yeah,
how healthy the people in Europe are, and try to
yeah.
convert that over to here. So
What's interesting too is, you walk these trails. We were in the middle of the woods, and then right in the middle of nowhere, there's a beer garden. So there'll be a place. We ran across a couple of them. They weren't open yet because it's still, early. But yeah, right out in the middle of the woods. Obviously, you're on these beautiful paved trails and pathways, and there's bikers and stuff, and people walking, and then all of a sudden you'll see a beer garden sign and a place to sit and drinks and stuff like that. Of course, not open, but during the summer months they'll be open.
they're pretty open about drinking over there. I mean, I'll never forget when we were in Italy. I mean, you have wine with every meal, and it's and the
Hmm.
kids drink the wine, and
Yeah.
so I mean, it's pretty open drinking over there. I mean,
We've
it,
seen people drinking beer for breakfast,
yeah.
literally.
And they don't have
Yeah.
the number of alcoholics we have either. They don't make a lot of
Mm.
sense, but they don't.
No,
It's just
no, no. I think that goes along with, if you kind of introduce it to your kids and teach them how to be responsible. It's kind of the same thing as the spas we've talked about. A lot of families go to these spas and they're nude, like we've said in the past. And same way with drinking, you just introduce that drinking to them, and it's just kind of a common thing they do. It's not this mysterious thing that we need to go out and get drunk. So
right.
quite a bit different over there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sure is. Sure is.
Yeah. Sponsor? Got a new
Well,
sponsor?
I don't know if they're going to be a sponsor, but I wanted to talk about this. My daughter Rachel has been buying products from this company for quite a while, and I hope it's not a pyramid scam, but I don't scheme. I don't know anything about it, but I've been on their website and it's pretty interesting. It's called Melaleuca and they are called the Wellness Company and it's at Melaleuca. That's Melaleuca.com. And just go on their website and take a look at it. It's their motto is helping people have a great life. And what they do, they sell supplements, personal care products, healthy foods and drinks, fragrances, cleaning and laundry supplies, beauty supplies, essential oils, medicines, and treatments. And they're all organic and made with similar to what Healthy Prelude does, but there's food and drinks here. She uses a lot of their laundry products. She thinks it's better for the kids' clothing, and they have basically six philosophies that they follow. And well, number one's good health. Number two is great relationships with family, friends, and God. And three is having sufficient resources. They talk about all this. Find your purpose, who you are, and what you want to be and meant to be. And then they talk about peace. I mean, they have a great website. And then the last thing they talk about freedom, and a lot of people have different ideas of freedom, but they say make day to day and lifelong choices as you see fit. And in this country, we have the opportunity to do that, to make our choices as we see fit. And a lot of people sometimes make the wrong choices, but it's a good website. Go on there. If you buy anything, mention Rachel Williams on her Facebook, or you can go to her website, which is rach326 at gmail.com. Just take a look at it. I mean, I took a look at it. It's a nice website. Again, there's a lot of interesting things in there, not only the products, but a lot of philosophies and things like that. So take a look at that. I told her that I would mention that. And if you buy something, she gets a little something, which certainly won't hurt her, but
Yeah,
she's getting ready for a wedding, so, uh,
good deal.
but it's a good website. I wanna bring back, one of our, topics that we talk every once in a while, and this one's called premature interjections, and I follow that like a lightning round. We talk about numerous things for a little bit and just, roping them up, and I wanted to start off, you probably know more about this than I do. In fact, you know a lot more about this than I do, but we're right in the middle of the Iran conflict, and, I know at the gas pump, I certainly see that effect, and it's amazing how quickly gas goes up when something like that happens. But you probably know a little bit more about than I do, Mike. But yeah, you might want to fill us in a little bit of what you know and where we're at.
Yeah, I probably don't know a whole lot more. Obviously, our son Jacob's intimately involved with this, being in the intel field and working over not close to that area, but still around that area. But, as far as the gas prices and the oil, I know oil spiked over $100 a barrel, first time in over 4 years. But over time, we give that time, it will come back down. I know we've sunk the entire Iranian navy is at the bottom of the ocean, and the airport is very much chewed up. Um, the part I don't know, but I'm sure there is a plan, is who they want to take over the country. Obviously, they don't want one of these ayatollahs or his followers coming back in and having the same type of regime in there. I think what people may or may not understand is that for decades, well, since '79, since the Shah left, um, the Iranians have been funding terrorism all around the world. And I remember when I was leaving Iraq, I was speaking to a guy that was near the Iranian Iraqi border, and he said every night they would watch through thermals or night vision goggles, and it looked like ants coming over the mountains, and it was the Iranians bringing in the bombs, the weapons, everything used to kill Americans and everyone else. And they've been funding Hamas and threatening Israel and all these other countries for years. And we finally, instead of having a president that gives them money or frees up their funds like certain presidents in the past have done, we have a president who has some balls and said we're going to take this regime out. And it's interesting. The people of Iran are cheering and shouting Trump's name, and the people over here, the liberals, are against that. The people in Iran are now free or close to being free. So that's
Mike,
about
I am
all I
not.
know,
I'm not.
Tommy.
I'm not into politics big time, but I just cannot understand how you cannot support that. I mean, they have constantly terrorize the United States throughout the world and our allies, and all of a sudden we do that, and I mean, of course, I don't think Trump
It
can't do anything that they don't
no,
criticize, but I can't
it's
believe that they are some of the things they're saying about that we should not be doing this, and it's crazy.
yeah. And the obituary for the Ayatollah in the New York Times, you would have thought the guy was a scholar.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's all because of Trump. It's all TDS. If Obama or Biden or somebody would have done this, they would have
Right,
been cheering
right,
in the
right.
streets. But yeah, it's crazy. But it's
I
the
guess
right thing and
it's
needed to
always
be
been
done.
like that. It's always been that like that in DC. It just seems like, the older you get, I think it maybe bothers me a little bit more than it has in the past, but it's just amazing. I can't imagine living in that city and being involved in politics in that city. I just cannot
No,
imagine what it would be like. And then, we're gonna talk here in a little bit about, the Kristi Noem deal, but, what she's going I mean, it's just ridiculous. And we'll
yeah,
talk about that here in a little bit, but, yeah, the American people are seeing the gas pumps go up, and I'm like you. I think they'll come down eventually once this thing gets settled
it
a little bit, and you know,
prices they're still lower than what Biden had them at.
right?
So
Yeah, they are. They
you
are.
know
Yeah, yeah,
they'll come back down. They'll come back down.
yeah. They will. Let's talk a little college basketball. I On Saturday, Wisconsin played at Purdue, and my
Hmm.
brother and his wife, we've been to some games with them, and so I kept looking at ticket prices because Penny's not home, and I thought, man, if I can find a ticket decent price, it's not overwhelming because it was going to be senior day at Purdue, and I thought if I can find something, so I found something that was decent price. It wasn't over exorbitant, and so I called my brother, and actually he was going to a wedding up close to Lafayette, so he said they were in, so I bought 3 tickets, and we went to the Purdue Wisconsin game, and I'll tell you what, um, I've never seen a college team shoot the ball like Wisconsin did that day. I mean, it was just amazing. The defense on both sides was terrible. There was no defense played, but Wisconsin shot 55% from the field and 56% from 3 points and 91% from the free throw line. They missed very few. They hit 18 3-pointers, which was a school record, which is just
Yeah.
and Purdue could not guard. They couldn't guard anything. It was just ridiculous. I mean, it was a close game, back and forth, 4 points here, 5 points there. It never got over 10, I don't think, and it was a heartbreaking loss at home for Purdue, being on senior day. But what a college basketball game! What an atmosphere! I mean, Mackey Arena was packed and it was going crazy. And then afterwards, of course, they honored the 5 seniors, and again, 3 of those seniors who's been there 4 and 5 years, which is unheard of today. You don't have
Hmm.
college players stay 4 and 5 games I mean, years to play. And then, of course, Braden Smith got 9 assists, and he's now the third all-time assist leader in the history of NCAA basketball. And what is he? I got a chart here. He's 7 away from second place, and he's actually about 45, 46 away from taking over the lead. So they would have to play 2 to 3 games in the Big Ten tournament and probably 2 or 3 games in the NCAA tournament for him to break the record. But you never know what's going to happen. But this Big Ten tournament in Chicago starting tomorrow is just going to be unbelievable. I think it's going to be a huge ticket. And Wisconsin, by winning, got a bye. They're playing well. They're playing on Thursday, like Purdue is. But Wisconsin will play the winner of Washington, Southern Cal, and Purdue actually will play the
Yep.
winner of Indiana and either Northwestern or Penn State. So Purdue could get Indiana again for the third time this year, and what a rivalry that is anyway. And if Purdue wins that, of course, then they go and they play Nebraska, which Purdue actually could get to the semifinals, I think, and then they'd have to play probably Michigan State. But who knows? I mean, this thing is so crazy, and Illinois almost got beat by Maryland yesterday, and
Right.
it's going
Watch
to be a
that.
crazy tournament. And then when you look at the projected, he's got all these talking heads who projects the NCAA tournament coming out, and it's amazing some of the things they have. But I don't think there's going to be any dispute about who's the number 1 seeds in the tournament. I don't think that'll change, being
Yeah.
Duke, Michigan, Florida, and Arizona. Uh, some of the others may change through after the tournaments, but it's just a great time of the year. It's basketball's in full swing, and the tournament's going like crazy. And again, back to the Wisconsin thing, I've never seen them play. I'm sure they played that good, but I don't think they played that good this year. And they didn't have Winter. Winter didn't play.
Yeah, maybe the only other game they played that well was against Michigan when they knocked them off
Yeah,
at Ann
that's true.
Arbor,
So
but,
they have beat Michigan. They beat Michigan State. Oh, no, Illinois and Purdue at their
yeah,
places away, and
yeah.
that's certainly going to get them. I mean, I think these procrastinators got them as a 6 seed, which they have lost some games they shouldn't have lost. So probably a 6 seed is probably where they should be. But they got them a 6 seed in the East, so they would play. They probably would have a. They probably could get maybe to the Sweet 16. Wisconsin could, but again, like you said, they win 1 or 2 games and then that's it. And
Yeah.
everybody's happy. It's
It's
so
really too bad that they lost, against, Ohio State and Oregon during that stretch when they were playing so
yeah,
well, because I think
that's
that really
true.
would have boosted them up. But yeah, you're
Oh, I
right.
think.
They'll win a game or 2 and get knocked out, and everyone's thrilled, so,
I mean, they got
but
Purdue a 3rd seed. I think that's too high for Purdue. But again, if Purdue would get beat by IU or somebody in the first game of the Big Ten tournament, I think they probably would drop. Their seeding would drop. I think those people that are doing the picks probably have the board already done, and they don't want to
yeah,
change it if they don't want to change it if they don't have to. So it's going to take
yep,
them
yep.
some, if Northwestern would beat Purdue, something like that, that probably would change it. But
This is
it's
this is one of my favorite weeks, Tommy, because you got for the high school, you've got sectionals, 2 more games to get to state, and there's been a lot of upsets here in Wisconsin. You've got the Big Ten tournament and then Selection Sunday coming this next weekend. So it's a
yeah,
great week.
it is a great week. And speaking of that, let's talk about Royal Boys.
We went to the regional semifinals. They knocked off Alma Pepin pretty easily and had a great game. And then we faced Assumption. We knew it would be tough. Assumption's a private school out of Wisconsin Rapids. They're drawn from 15,000 to 20,000 kids. We're drawn from under 2,000. But still, we hung tough. They have one player. Assumption has one player, African American boy, just excellent. I think he had 32 points out of their 56 that night. We just could not shut him down. He hit everything. And the only thing I did not like about him is he's extremely cocky. I mean, he
Really.
was getting into it with even me in the stands, and he just eyeballing people, and he's extremely good player. But you'd like to put your arm around the kid and say, "Hey, just tone down the cockiness a little bit.
Yeah,
Everyone knows you're
yeah,
good. You don't need to display it." But we played well enough to win. They were definitely the better team, but between our 3 studs, Trey Wilds, Braxton Board, and Dylan Velazquez, who's all of them have been scoring, averaging in the teens, upper teens. Between the 3 of them the other night, they had 26 points between the 3 of them. So that really hurt us. We had a junior, Colby Schrader, who lit it up. He had 3 threes or 4 threes another bucket. He had 14. He was our leading scorer. But we were within, like, I believe 3 a couple of times, and there were 3 critical calls by the referees that really turned the game around to the disadvantage of Royal. And I'll explain one of them. We came up the court, or they had the ball coming up the court right around half court. We stole the ball, and one of their players threw an elbow connecting with one of our players, either in the shoulder or in the head area. The referee closest to them calls a foul. The ref on the far side comes running over and says that the Assumption coach called timeout. So they got the timeout and they got the ball back, no foul called.
oh my
And
God.
another time, Braxton Board was going up for a layup and he got undercut, missed the shot, obviously, landed on the floor hard, no foul called. And there was one other play that was really, there's always calls or no calls in a game, every game. But
Right.
these 3, and I can't remember the third one, these 3 really played in. They were late in the game when we had momentum going, and it just turned it back to Assumption, and we just can't get over the hump.
What was the score? Final score?
56-51.
Oh, really? There were some calls in the Purdue Wisconsin game too, and There's this big, tall, bald-headed referee in the Big Ten, and he is terrible. Don't know his name, but then I watched the Michigan State game, and he was referee in that game too. So I don't know, but there's some calls that you just go shake your head. You go, what? And then they show the
Yeah,
replay, and there's no way can they
yeah.
call a foul? There's no way it can be called a
And
foul. But
a and Scott Uppina, our coach, he's very level-headed. He doesn't,
yeah, yeah.
really complain or anything like that, and even after the game, I was talking to him, and he agreed, those 3 calls that went against Royal really shifted the momentum from us back to Assumption, and, if they would've went the other way, who knows what would've happened. We only lost by 5, so very good game.
I can see how that kid being that good and being that cocky could also get into the players' heads. I mean, that's just
Yeah,
something that, because that's not the way that they're built. That those people, they're
yeah,
never. I mean, sure, they're a bigger city and all that stuff, and they're private school, which also gives them a leg up, which is crazy. But they should be playing in different divisions. In
yeah.
fact, when we were in Dauphin Island in Alabama, Alabama just passed a new law. The High School Athletic Association passed a rule where that the private schools had to go back and have their own tournaments,
Good,
which is the way
good.
it
I
should
wish they
be.
would do it here. Yep.
I wish they'd do it here too because it's ridiculous. If you look at the state finals all the time, there's one, two, maybe even three private schools which is not fair. It's not fair. It's
And what bothers me is, as you know, Tommy, schools like Royal, these small schools, you may have it once every 10 to 20 years, a team that could make it to state. And it never fails. You run into a private school and the season's over.
right, right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. It's ridiculous, but. Uh, I want to talk about Penny bought a new car last week, a week from yesterday or Saturday, and I want to talk a little bit about that. She's been looking. Her car was getting close to 100,000 miles, and we thought if we're going to trade in, it was a 2021. We thought if we're going to trade in, we ought to do it before it gets 100,000 miles. So we went to car dealership, and this young kid came up, and so I asked him, I said, how long have you been selling cars? He said, well, I just started. I just graduated from high school in June, and I'm selling cars. And I thought, man, it's awful young. But he seemed to know what he's talking about. So Penny drives this car, and she actually had a price range. She found a hybrid, a Hyundai Tucson hybrid, which she really liked, and that's the one that we ended up buying. But so we knew what the Blue Book value was on her car, and it was between 10.5 and 12. And so going in, we said we won't take anything less than 11. So of course you go deal, and the guy asked up front. I said, well, the Blue Book value is 10.5 to 12, and we kind of know where we want to be. So they came back at 10.5, and we said, no, that's not going to work. And so he said, well, I said, well, we got to have at least 11, and we'd like to have a little bit more than that, And so they came back, of course, here's the 11, and so she owed 51 something on it, I think, 50 or 5,000 something on it. Anyway, the difference between the trade-in and what she owed on the car was $4,917. So we told the kid, we said, okay, here's the deal. We want that 4917 to be our down payment on the new car. And
Mhm.
he said, okay. So he ran the numbers. Okay. And Penny signs all these papers, and so then you got to go in, sit down with a finance guy and all this bullshit that they to make you run through. And so we're sitting with the finance guy. And of course he goes through everything. Penny signs all these papers again. And at the end he says, okay, now, how do you want to pay for the 4917? You want to write a check? You got a credit card? And I said, what? He said, yeah, your down payment. I said, no, 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 no. Our down payment was the difference between the trade-in value and the payoff. That was our down
Right.
payment. What? So he said, just a minute, I'll be right back. So he's gone about 10 minutes, come back, and he told Penny, said, okay, here, sign all these papers. So she signed all these papers. So, so we drove the car home. So we left. So Penny gets home and she pulls out the final papers. And what they did, they increased the trade-in value to 13.5, and they lowered the price by $1,500 so they could cover the 4917 that they lost. That's never happened to me buying a new car. Never have I got the leg up on a car dealership.
Yeah. Yeah.
but I told Penny, I said, "I'll tell you what, I hope that young kid didn't get fired." But I mean, we made it point blank. That's exactly what I wanted to do, and so anyway, she's happy with it. It's supposed to get 15 miles more per gallon. She loves it. So hopefully that will help her going back and forth to work. So
So, but they would have had to have given you that 4,900 plus in something, right? Cash or check
yeah,
or
they would.
something, and
Yeah,
so
they
you
would.
could.
Well,
Yeah.
he said that they took it off the price and that we were going to pay another 49.17, and that's how we got down to the payment, down to the monthly payment. And I said, no, 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 that's not going to
No.
happen. And so they redid it and kept the payment about the same. So it worked out pretty good. But I thought it was
Good
funny. I
deal.
wanted to bring that up to our listeners today, and
Yeah.
I just thought why stepped ahead there a little bit. We're going to talk under local sports about the Packers. You want to talk about the Packers a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, just to wrap up your new car thing, you're probably the first person in history to have that happen. So
Well, I don't know about
good
the
deal for
first
you.
person, but I thought it was pretty amazing that it did happen, but,
Yeah. Yeah, I found this online. It's kind of a report card that is done. I believe the players do it, and I'll read this verbatim. It says the Green Bay Packers fell 14 spots to 21st overall in this year's report card, the steepest year ever decline of any team. The drop is driven largely by the decline in ratings for the training room and training staff, which now rank in the bottom third of the league. Players report a lack of space and outdated recovery equipment, along with a lack of communication and trust in the training room. These issues are a top priority players identified to be addressed. It says the players report that the team does not provide game day childcare as most teams do, contributing to their bottom third ranking for treatment of families. The team's nutrition program similarly ranks near the bottom, with players wanting improved nutrition plans and more nutritious food options to better support these plans. Head coach Matt LaFleur dropped a full letter grade this season and ranks second to last in the league in respect for players.
whoa.
So, yeah,
They just got an excellent linebacker from the Colts, Zaire
yeah,
Franklinson. He's excellent. He's gonna really help the Packers, I think.
yeah,
We've talked about LaFleur in the past. If they don't make the playoffs this year, if they go one and done, I think they're gonna get rid of him. I just don't see how he can stay, but, Uh, you hope that it looks like I saw in the draft, they're going to get a nice wide receiver. At least that's what they're projected to get. And then, of course, second pick's going to be, of course, a defensive back that they draft every year, which,
yeah,
is
yeah.
ridiculous. But
Did you see that young man out of Iowa? He's got the real big mullet going on, and he's an offensive lineman. I don't know his name off the top of my
oh,
head, but
yeah,
he he
yep,
he talked about Culvers and cheese curds, and they're talking
yeah,
like the
yeah.
Packers should really look at this guy. So,
Well, they need offensive linemen too. I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
crazy. But speaking of the Packers, not Packers, but I saw last week that Rodgers was on Pat McAfee again. I don't know if he's going. I don't think it's going to be a regular thing, but he hasn't made up his mind if he's going to come back or not. But it looks like the I saw the Steelers are going to draft a wide receiver too, and I'd like to see him come back and at least play one season with McCarthy. I think it'd be
mhm,
great if they did that. And he talked like he was leaning that away, but he said he didn't want to make a decision yet. And it sounds like he's pretty happy in his relationship with his wife. Said he met her in 2019, and nobody knows anything about it, and he wants to
mhm,
keep her out of the spotlight, and he doesn't want her involved. And he did make a comment. He said, when I'm done, I'm done. You won't see me. He said, I'm gone. He said,
yep,
I'm not going to do any broadcasting. I'm not going to buy any teams. He said, I'm going to go do my thing. And he said, I
yep.
might show up once in a while for something, but I'm not gonna. But from a fan standpoint, I hope he comes back one more year to play. So
Well, this would never happen, but I saw something where with Malik Willis leaving the Packers, obviously he'll be a starter somewhere. That the thought was, would Rodgers come back and be the backup to Love for the year, just to retire as a Packer?
I don't know if that happened or not. I don't. I mean, I think he'll still
No.
retire. He'll still retire Packer. I don't think. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
yeah,
not.
but I can't see him sitting on the bench. No.
No, no, he's not going to do that. If he plays, he's going to play. I mean, if he stays another year,
Yeah.
he's going to play. But
Yep.
uh,
Yep.
our last one here, I wanted to talk a little bit about Kristi Noem. Again, she's in the news big time. I don't know. There's a lot of static. You hear that static, Mike? Do you hear a
I
lot of
hear little.
static?
No, no, not too bad.
I, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's me. I don't know.
Is your mic
Maybe I'm
all the way
maybe
plugged
I'm
in?
too close to. Yeah, it is. Maybe I'm too close to the mic. I don't know. But I want to talk a little bit about Kristi Noem. She's in the headlines, and I'm a little pissed at Corey Lewandowski. He got a leg up on me. I think she's a beautiful woman.
Do you think that happened?
Well, I think it probably did, and I don't blame him. I don't
Yeah.
blame him at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
uh, shit happens. I mean, I met Penny at work. When you work with people, and I mean, shit happens. And again, she's in the public eye, and a lot of scrutiny going with her. And I think Trump did what he had to do, and he wanted to find a place
Mm.
for her. But I don't know. It's just crazy that your dirty laundry gets pulled out in front of Congress. I think Congress has better things to do than talk about that shit. It's just crazy that it
Yeah.
happens. It's
Well, when Kennedy was interviewing her, the whole ad campaign came up too, where she spent 220 million on these ads for deportation and, ICE and all this stuff. And she claimed, I guess what pissed Trump off is she claimed Trump had approved all that, and I don't know if he actually had approved that. And then the dirty laundry with her affair came out. So, but Mark Wayne Mullins will be in place. I think he's a great guy. I've liked what I've seen from him, and
yeah,
yeah, it's just interesting. She's going to be the special envoy to the Shields of Americas, whatever that is.
whatever the hell that is. I just
I have no
I don't
idea.
know. I think Trump, in a conversation, probably in a meeting, said, "Hey, I want to make sure that we let the American people know what's going on with DHS, and I want you to do whatever you have to do, campaign wise, whatever you need to do that." And she took that to say, "Hey, this is what I need to do." And her marketing people came up with it. I mean, I thought the ads of her on a horse was kind of excellent. I mean, I thought it was very good. I mean,
Yeah,
it's but again, I mean, he probably didn't tell her to spend. He was probably pissed she spent that much money. I'm sure he
yeah.
gave her the approval to do it, but I'm sure he didn't want her to spend that kind of money. But
And when she came out and said that he had approved it, that probably rubbed
yeah,
him the wrong way.
I
Yep.
think so. I think
So,
so. And then he was
yeah.
pissed that he wasn't the one instead of Corey Lewandowski. So he's kind of, he was pissed that Epstein didn't invite her to the island. I mean,
I always think of the commercial she did when she's in front of those prisoners down in Ecuador or
oh
Venezuela or wherever
yeah,
that real terrible prison is at,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you wonder what those guys are all sitting back there doing this,
Oh
So,
yeah, probably yelling. Yeah, yeah. Hey, mama, come here,
yeah.
come here. Hey, we haven't done a
Uh,
Colonel's conspiracy in a while. I don't know if you had time to take a look at one or not, but I thought maybe we might put that in here if we had a little time.
yeah, I've talked about Epstein before, and this is going to be the last time, just because I've seen so much stuff popping up on the social media. And it's just what's amazing to me. One, I'm gonna throw it out there. And again, we're not trying to say we're right or wrong, but I'm starting to feel like he did not commit suicide or he wasn't killed in prison. I think he's alive. I've seen some pictures where people say he's in Israel and there's this guy that looks like him. And then there was the rumor of him being online gaming with his name on the game. And again, that was people thought he was online gaming, but then, you're hearing a lot about the trafficking of children and the adrenalized blood that allegedly these movie stars and politicians and all these people were cannibalizing these young people and drinking their blood and doing all this crazy shit.
Right.
And I got to thinking that, maybe the files are, the names and everything. I know a lot has come out, but maybe they're not people like Trump and previous administrations aren't or didn't want this stuff to come out, not because of the names, but because if we see, and I've seen some of the emails allegedly that have come out talking about the planning of COVID and the 9/11, what happened at 9/11. And it makes me wonder if there's so much stuff that would just blow our minds that are the total distrust of the government and all these worldwide agencies would be right out the window forever. It just I think it is so deep and so high and so shitty and so, Satanistic or satanic or whatever the word is, just so terrible stuff that was done. I think it would just blow our minds. I don't know, what do you think, Tommy?
Well, I think that whenever you involve Hollywood and all those celebrities with all the money they have and stuff, I think that sometimes they they just want to see they do things that is unbelievable, and we kind of let them get by with it. And it, again, I talked about that QAnon or whatever that was thing I
Yeah.
read about in the
Yep.
past, and
Yep.
I believe there is a cult or whatever you want to call it like that. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
I think there's I've always said
And
I don't think the president runs a country. I think there's a group of people that, runs the country, and Trump is the first one to stand up to him, and that's why they hate him, and they'll do everything they possibly can. You talk to any Holly, I
it,
mean, somebody's already moved to what movie star moved to Canada or something when Trump was elected? Just stupid, but
yeah. And then you hear about, I heard about Tom Hanks, being involved with all this stuff. And then I haven't verified this, but I heard that recently he was not allowed back in Greece, which is where he moved. He's got his own private island, which he can go to, but the country of Greece would not let him back in because of his association with Epstein. And then, the whole Rothschild thing that Clinton mentioned in his
yeah,
testimony.
I know.
And,
I mean, what was
it's
that?
just,
Yeah.
I really think that if we knew everything that went on, we would just be appalled
Well, can
at
you
stuff that's
imagine
happened.
the people that's supposedly on the list? Just think, I mean, world leaders, American leaders. Can you
Mhm.
imagine some probably emails that went back and forth between those two? I mean, talking maybe about
Yeah.
9/11, maybe about COVID and all this. And
And
I
and
think how
you've
Trump got involved, I think when Trump was younger, there's no doubt in my mind he went to a party at Epstein's house and maybe it was on the island. I don't know. But he was a young businessman, and at that point in time had no idea he was gonna be in politics, and I don't
yeah.
think he was involved in any of the trafficking. I don't think he had sex
Mm-mm.
with any young girls, but I'm sure that he probably attended some parties on the island. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, being
And you
the
you
person he was, but
you wonder how Epstein got all this money. Obviously, these countries with our taxpayer dollars have been funding him for
oh,
decades,
without question,
without
yeah.
question.
I don't even know what business was he in? I don't even know what he was he in IT or something? I mean, he had to be in some
Yeah.
business or manufacturing to get his money, I would think. I don't know. I mean,
The the early rumor was that he ripped off the owner of Victoria's Secrets and stole his money. Well, that's bullshit. I mean, as much as he probably did take some of that money, but I think these countries, because of all the trafficking that was going on and the people that he had on film after he had him on the island,
yeah.
they were probably sending him
Oh
billions of
oh,
dollars.
without question, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Uh, it's just,
I'm
it's the nuts, and it's always gonna be in the news, I think, until I mean, I don't think we'll ever really know what happened. I mean,
well, no, no, we'll never know the truth, but it's just interesting the stuff that pops up every week that just is like, holy shit, and then you look at like Ellen DeGeneres's set when she used to be on TV,
yeah,
and she had that blue and white striped building, which is identical to what Epstein had on the island, and the
yeah,
whole Nickelodeon thing.
yeah,
The shape of the Nickelodeon is the same shape as his island, and
yeah.
and stuff with SpongeBob. It's just, oh my
It's
god,
just nuts. It's just nuts. I mean, yeah,
all over sex and power.
I mean, I can't believe there's 2 cities, Hollywood, Los Angeles, and Washington, DC. The stuff that goes on in those cities is just nuts. I can imagine. I mean, I can imagine some of the parties those celebrities have in Hollywood. You would you and I might enjoy them, but most people would just shake their head and say, "No way." It's,
Well, that all goes back to Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. Have you seen that movie? I mean, it's
yeah,
just crazy
yeah,
the
that's
the,
true.
the cult stuff that's going on, and allegedly he was killed right after that came out.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
who knows?
I suspected whether Epstein died. I mean, I've always suspected that. I mean, uh, I know he didn't commit suicide. There's no way he did that. If he's dead,
Mm,
somebody killed him. There's no doubt in my mind.
yeah,
And he
probably
certainly
Mossad.
killed
Yeah,
could still be alive without question. But
I had to, just to cap things off here. I did chuckle at some of the testimony by Hillary, how she said that Giselle was a plus one, and she never knew Epstein, but there's pictures of her with Epstein, and
yeah, just nuts.
uh,
It's just nuts.
she's lying when her lips are moving.
Well,
But
the only reason she was invited because of her political status. It certainly had nothing to do with
yeah,
her looks. I mean, that's
no. No, no. Did you
oh, we
see
got to.
Bill laughing at the
Oh,
Did you see
yeah.
Bill laughing at the
Yeah.
pictures and stuff and making
Yeah.
comments to the
Yeah.
the lady that was interviewing
Yep,
him?
yep.
Shaking like a dog shitting bones?
She hasn't changed a bit.
Gee,
I saw
he's a
something the other
dirty old
day, this is
man.
completely off the schedule, but I saw something the other day that, I don't know why I was flipping the channels, it was listing the people that had died that they think the Clintons had killed. I mean, it was just, I mean, it's
Yeah.
like a list of 9 or 10. It's just amazing
It's
how they
it's in the
connect the
50s and
2.
s
It's it
yeah.
probably is more than
Jill
that. Yeah, it's probably
Jill actually read the book, a book about that, and on the back cover, they have all the names listed and how they died, explode car exploding and brakes
really,
failing and all
really.
this stuff. And a lot of it all started back when they were still down in Arkansas
Oh, yeah, without
allegedly
question.
running drugs out of the
Yep,
airport. So,
without
yeah,
question. Yep, it's crazy.
yeah.
It's crazy. So we got one of our
They'll
regular
have to answer to
sponsors,
somebody.
yeah, one of our regular sponsors you wanna talk about, Mike?
Yeah, Trailview Meats, located 2 miles outside of Elroy towards Kendall on Highway 71. Cody Vossen has a wide list, long list, a great list of ground beef, steaks, roasts, briskets, short ribs, and much, much more. I've said this every week that we record that Jill and I have bought Cody's meat. That doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound
we've
good.
bought we've bought his ground beef and we've bought a few roasts from him, and we've hauled it down to Alabama for our son, and we've recommended him to many different people that we talked to. And like we said too, we see the cattle alongside the road as we drive past Cody's ranch, and we know what they're being fed. They're not being injected with all this crap that makes you sick, and it's just great quality meat. And if you want some of this great quality meat, contact Cody Vossen at Trailview Meats, located a couple miles outside of Elroy on Highway 71. If you don't know how to get a hold of him, you can get a hold of me or Tom, and we can get you in touch with Cody. So great young man doing great things.
Great, sounds great. He is a great young man. Yep. I put this next thing on here. Uh, you spend your life doing things you think is right, and I don't know, the older you get, you kinda look back in memories and things like that, and then when something happens, you kinda sit back and just, fill your chest with pride, but, we came home the other day, and, there was a package on our front porch, just a little bag, and so I didn't pay any attention to it, and Penny went and got it and brought it in, and, so I opened it up, and it was a bourbon glass. I should have had it here with me, but I don't, and, so I liked the bourbon glass, and so I let it go, and Penny said, "Did you see there's something else in there?" And so I pulled it out, and it was a letter, and it was a letter from my one of my grandsons, and I'm not gonna say who it was, and we're not gonna mention any names, but, uh, he wrote a letter, and we had talked about our Christmas vacation, how we took the whole family, and the whole family was together for 3 days, inside 4 walls, and he talked about how great he appreciated that, and he's a young single father, trying to raise, 3 kids, and, so he wrote me a letter thanking me for that opportunity to be able to spend time with family, and it got me to thinking, and he always does this, he asks me questions, he's trying to learn and trying to do the right things as a family man, and so he asked some questions on here, and I kinda wanted to bring 'em up, and maybe we can talk about them a little bit, you as a father and a husband, and, um, he asked a question, he said, "As you look back on your life," he says, "what decisions you made mattered the most in the long run?" So I got to thinking about some of the decisions that I've made in my life and really what mattered in the long run, and, it's finding the right people, being married once and then finding Penny for the second time. It's definitely finding the right people and people that you can be a best friend with, people that you can cohabitate with, and people that you feel comfortable with. And um, there's numerous decisions we make in our life, whether it's buying a house, whether it's buying a car, determine what career we want, all kinds of things like that. But uh, when we talk about nurturing relationships, I think it's important that we look as families, how are we nurturing those relationships, not only with our wife, but with our kids and with our friends. And I've got a lot of friends that I consider friends, but I don't believe that I nurture the relationship because I might see them once a year or twice a year. And as our lives go on, it's almost impossible to keep track and keep up with everybody. And I understand that. And you got a few friends that you keep track with, but he started asking these questions, and he said, "What mistakes taught you the most?" And we've all made mistakes in life. I mean, just think about the mistakes that you've made and what we learned the most from. And I mean, you can mention numerous things and some of the things you did and some of the things that maybe we shouldn't have done and all those type things. And then it says, "What do you wish someone had told you earlier in your life that might have made a difference in your life?" And So then I look back of all the mentors that I've had in my life, and you being in the military, I'm sure you got tons of mentors that throughout the whole thing, and the letter just got me thinking about life and how we treat people, and he's single, he's trying to meet someone that could be a mother to his kids, and he's asking about relationships and how do I form a good relationship? How do I know who my partner, which partner's the right one, and all this
Mhm.
stuff, and it's kind of tough. I give him my philosophy. I always respond to him and tell him what I think, but uh, family's important, and I sometimes we forget about that. I mean, I know you're very close to your family, and I'm probably not as close as you are. I've got more kids and grandkids to worry about though to be close. But sometimes uh, the Christmas vacation can change your life, and it looks like it's changed
Mhm.
my grandson's life, and it's probably something we're going to do forever. That it has done that. But he mentions words like consistency and faith, resilience, and he mentioned something here about choosing people over pride. And I thought about that. And how many times have we let our pride get in the way of maybe a decision that we're making? And sometimes we don't make the right decision. And sometimes it might affect our children when we do that. And I know I have in the past. And he talked about fatherhood. And that's why I'm getting to this too now. I went a long way around that, but just talking about fatherhood and what our kids mean to us. And I don't know that you talk to yours every day. I know you talk to them on a regular basis, and maybe you do, and you can expound on that a little bit. I talk to my kids at least weekly, but I think it's important, and we don't realize the things that we do by our actions that really mean a lot to them.
Mhm.
And I think as people, as we get older, we have to be careful of what we do and what we say and how we do it. And I know we're built a certain way. I know I have a loud voice and I say things sometimes that I probably shouldn't say, and I'm trying to get better doing that. But uh, I just maybe you can expound on fatherhood a little bit and what it means to you, and maybe my son, my grandson who listens to this religiously, maybe you can give him a few pointers too. I've given him my pointers, and I thought maybe let's let Mike bring in some of his philosophies and what he thinks. And having led a troop to Iraq, those things like that. I mean, I'm sure you got some things that you might be able to say that might help him.
Yeah. Well, the first thing, whichever grandson this is, the things that there's a ton to unpack here. I would love to sit down for like 2, 3 days as a group and just
Oh yeah,
talk.
I know, I know, I know.
I would
Yeah,
love to do that. But some of the stuff that you said, Tom, that I love that your grandson has said is he's talked about fatherhood, he's talked about resiliency, he's talked about finding the right person. So just even though he may think that he's struggling in his life, and we all have our struggles, but he may think that he's way behind. To me, from what he has written to you, he is way ahead because even though everything is not in place exactly how he wants it right now, he's got the right mentality, the right
right,
foresight, the right goals, the right things that he is thinking about. And the big thing is that resiliency. I know a number of people that aren't where they want to be in their life because they aren't resilient. They've had some bad things happen, which we all have had bad things happen, and they sit back and they wallow in their, this isn't fair type of thing. But then I've also been around and I feel I'm this way that when things happen to me, that's just God's way of saying, "Hey, you're not on the path I need you to be on, and we're going to focus over here." And so I come up with plans A, B, and C to, help me get to where I want to be. It may not be the path that I thought I needed to be on, but after looking at it and deciding what I need to do and having that resiliency, it is the path I need to be on.
right,
And,
right, right,
I think looking back at some of the decisions, and I look at them as blessings that Jill and I have had. One, her being a teacher, she was always home when the boys were home. And I thought that was huge. And, I also look back to that. If I was 18 years old right now, knowing what I know about the military, I would join the military right out of high school. But then I look back and think that the way I did my career, we were stable and the boys were able to be around their cousins and their grandparents and us obviously and their aunts and uncles, which again, community raising a child is huge to me. And I think that's so important. So, sometimes they are decisions, sometimes they're blessings. I have struggled with anxiety and depression since I returned from Iraq, and I've gone to a lot of counseling. And one thing some of the tools that they've put in my toolbox are exercise, but the other one is faith. And I've grown stronger in my faith, and I truly pray every day, and I truly believe that the good Lord will bless you on, in what you want to achieve and have done. It may not be the path that you think you need to be on, but He'll put you on that right path. And you know, I could go on and on and on about this
Yeah, I
stuff, but I
know.
think
Yeah,
your
yeah.
I think your grandson is on the right track. Like I said, even though everything is not in place for him right now, it will. It will happen just because of how he's writing and thinking. And that gift, think about that gift of that glass that he gave to you, Tommy. And that
Oh, I
note,
know. Oh, without question. Oh, without question. Yeah,
so much about his character.
yeah.
So
Here's
it'll
one say
happen.
here's
I
what let
truly
me
believe
you,
it.
you just mentioned faith. He said, if you've watched children grow, seasons change, priorities shift. If you had to name a few things that truly stand the test of time, what would they be? And I mentioned consistency, but then he said, is it faith? And I told him that. I said, it's definitely faith. And I'm not telling you that you have to go to church every Sunday, but
Right.
I say you
Right.
got to believe in a higher being, because being a single dad, you got to have somebody to talk to sometimes. And I said, there's a
Yep.
God that you can talk to. And I said, you got to have faith, not
Yep.
only faith in a supreme being, but faith in yourself. You got to
Yeah.
have faith in yourself that you're going to do the right thing. And you know what? He has 3 boys. He's a great father. He tries to do, and going through a divorce, and he's done the things right. And you're right. That letter says way things about him that I didn't know about prior to that letter. But he's
Yeah.
always been very astute and very forward thinker. But I just thought it'd be good to bring that up today, and
Yeah.
maybe some of our listeners could get something out of what we talked about. And you're right. That's like a 3-day seminar to sit down and talk and take each one of those individual things and kind of break them down and talk about it. And there are men's groups around, and I've always thought about
Mhm.
joining, and not a Bible study per se group, but just where you sit around and
Just
talk
a
about these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bring up. I mean, there's so many things that you could talk about. It's not. We don't have to talk about sports or politics or sex or. I mean, there's so many things in life that you could talk about that
Yeah.
probably could help some people. And I've even thought about this podcast. Maybe we ought to do more of that on this podcast, and maybe
Yeah.
we might help somebody out there listening. And we try to be funny, and maybe sometimes it's not always the best to be funny. So maybe we'll take a look at that going forward. But I just thought the letter meant so much to me, and you're right. The
I
gift, that's something that goes on my bourbon cabinet, and it will always be there, and I'll never drink out of
Yeah.
it. But it's something that you always look at, and uh,
I just it gave me goosebumps when you were talking about him because I've worked with a lot of young kids over the years, both at the Challenge Academy and Youth Leadership Training Center. And you see kids that young people that have gone down the wrong path, but then they turn their lives around. And I'm not saying that about your grandson. I'm just saying that he has had some crap thrown at him, but I love the way he is mentally thinking and how he's reached out to you. And just by him giving you that glass and that letter tells me that he has the utmost respect for you. And whoever this grandson is definitely on the right path, bottom
no,
line. And
without
things,
question, without question.
it may be a month, it may be a year, it may be 5 years, but he will be on a great path one of these days, and his life will fall into place, and things will be grand for him. I
But
truly believe that.
yeah, I
So
do too. I do too. Well, let's go from that to kind of a switch, and we go from talking about family and nurturing to one way you can nurture that is by drinking whiskey, right? So we're going to go talk about Bigg's Bourbon Basement, and as you well know, we went on the Bourbon Trail. We're getting to go ready to go again. We loved it so much; it's probably something that we'll continue to do on a regular basis, but. I wanted to pull a bottle out of my cabinet today and talk about it a little bit. And it's just a kind of a unique bottle. I'll hold it up here. It's called Angel's Envy. And Angel's Envy Distillery is located in downtown Louisville on Whiskey Row. And there's a stretch of downtown Louisville where there's several distilleries in a row there. It's right by the Ohio River, but I think they don't pull their water from the Ohio River. I'm sure they pull their water from the limestone rocks that are underneath Louisville. But this particular one here is they do use 4 to 6 years of aging in white oak barrels, and then they finish the whiskey up to 6 months in port wine barrels that they import from Portugal. So what you do is you get the flavor from the white oak, and then you put in these port wine that from barrels from Portugal that had port wine in it, and that also brings in tastes of vanilla, toasted oak, and ripe dark fruit. So it has an excellent taste. It's only 86.6% proof. And I we just drink it neat over. I mean, we drink it over ice. You could drink it neat or in an old fashioned. And how they get the name Angel's Envy? Well, I was reading an article about it. It said 5% of the whiskey through a distilled process, you lose 5% of the whiskey. And one day they were sitting in a meeting and they said, "Where does this go?" And one of their employees said, "Well, the angels take it." Jokingly probably said the angels take it. Well,
Mhm.
that's how they came up with the name Angel's Envy. So it's kind of unique. It said the 5% have been drank by angels. So I don't know if that's true or not, but Angel's Envy,
Tommy, when
it's in your liquor store. I mean, just look and it's a good one to try. Like I said, it's only 86% proof. So if you don't really like hard liquor, this is one that you might want to try.
when you held up the bottle, is it a clear bourbon? It almost looked clear that when
Well,
you
no,
held it
it's
up.
brown. It's kind of brown. It's kind of hard to see in the thing, but it
Okay.
does look clear through
Okay.
there. I think I had, but it's kind
Yeah.
of, and then on the back, it's got angel's wings. It's kind of a cool bottle. It's there's a lot of
Yeah.
unique bottles that you can get that they put bourbon in, and it's just again, it's not a cult, but there's a lot of bourbon drinkers, a lot of bourbon clubs, and it's kind of crazy when you go online. You see how many different people belong to bourbon clubs and
Yeah.
really are into drinking bourbon. It's amazing. It's almost like anything else. But
And when do you guys head out again to do the bourbon trail?
April 9th, we're going to go. We got friends
Yep.
going with us. I know you guys couldn't go, but we're going to go to Woodford Reserve. We're going to go to the Keeneland Racetrack for the Maker's Mark Mile, which is going to be fun. And then we've got 2, 3, 4. We got 5 or 6 other distilleries we're gonna go to, so it'll be fun. Penny's in Las Vegas right now visiting some of her friends, and the house they're staying at, they call it their drinking room, and she showed me a picture. She was FaceTiming me, and they got bourbon. They got bourbon, and they got as much alcohol as you want. It looks like a liquor store in there, but it's amazing. And it's her mother. I said that her mother died when she was young, and this is her second mother's family. So one of the daughters of the family is like a sister to Penny, but her name's Wendy, and uh, she lives there with her wife, which doesn't mean anything, but I mean they're good people. And anyway, but she said what she does is when a bottle gets down to almost the end, they pour it into a decanter, and so they just keep adding different whiskeys into this decanter, and so then they use that to mix drinks, and it's amazing the flavor you get out of those different whiskeys mixing
I
with each
bet.
other. And
Yeah.
so we never thought. Told Penny, I said, "Well, we'll start doing that because I never, we'll keep nice bottles. Some of the bottles we'll throw away, but we enjoy it. It's something that we do Penny and I do every night. We have a shot of bourbon at 9 o'clock. She makes sure if it's 9:15, she says, "Oh shit, I forgot to get the bourbon," but it's just something we do, and I mean, I haven't done it since she's been gone. I thought about it, but I never did do it. So but it's fun. It's fun to do. We
Yeah.
enjoy doing
That's
it,
great.
and we look forward. And that part of Kentucky's beautiful. You don't realize how beautiful it is
Yeah.
down there, and so we're looking forward to going again. Hopefully, the weather will be nice. So
That's one of my favorite states. Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of
we got
fun.
Yeah, we got our regular sponsor, healthyprelude.com. We're going to talk a little bit today about a product of hers. It's called Nose Oil, and I try to find these products, but this is a Ayurvedic blend. That's some kind of plant to keep our nose clear. Place a couple of drops in each nostril every night to breathe clear and keep our mucous membranes healthy. And it's made with an infusion of organic sesame oil and essential oils of peppermint, spearmint, cypress, rosemary, and oregano. And it's antifungal and antimicrobial. And so it sounds like with spearmint, peppermint, cypress, and rosemary, it'd be probably smells pretty good too. But again, healthyprelude.com, thebomb.com. Go on there. I'm sure Anna's building. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it yet, or Mike is probably coming up. I mean, I think he's probably doing
We
pretty well.
Yeah, we go up there Wednesday, and I just saw a Snapchat where, for Gene's part of the building, he's got the tree cutting business, the garage doors, I think, are coming tomorrow. And then
Oh,
she had
okay.
another snap of all these boxes outside of a door, and I'm wondering if they're boxes, of product or whatever for, the opening of her new building. So I think she's
Oh,
close,
I'm
but we'll
sure,
find out
probably.
more on Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd
Yep.
be interesting. We can talk
You know,
about that
speak
next week. Yeah,
Speaking of the
go ahead.
product that you just mentioned, I don't know if it's the same, but I've got a salve from Anna that I put in my nose. When I was in Germany, my nose just dries out terribly during the winter months and I get nosebleeds bad. And I use this salve from Anna, and I think it's the same product you were talking about with the drops. I should have brought it in here, but it totally clears my nose out and it takes away all the dryness. It's just excellent, excellent product. So it's good stuff.
It's amazing that she's a mixologist, that she can do and make that stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
sure her mom started it, and it's just amazing. You don't think about all the products you can put together and make good product. I mean, it's just amazing some of the oils and plants and stuff that she
And
uses and,
and healthy stuff.
oh, healthy without questions. Yeah, her
Yeah.
product's similar to that Metalluca I talked about earlier, I think, yeah, go on there and look at the products. Just look at her website. She's got so much stuff on there. She shows prop pictures of the building coming up, so, give her a
Yeah.
look at.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Any updates on where we're at, Mike? I don't know what we've been doing, where we're doing. This is our what number is it? It's our
16,
17th?
17, 17. So I did run some numbers. The followers as that hasn't been growing, but again, that's not a big deal. We've got 68 followers on Spotify. We've had 1,047 plays on Spotify. And I want to talk a little bit about the stats from Spotify. We've got most of our listeners obviously here in the US, but we do have a sprinkling from Germany and Brazil. And then the males that are listening on Spotify at 67%. We've got about 27% female, about 5% that haven't specified, nobody that's non-binary. The majority of our listeners are the ages of 28 to 34 and 60 plus, with a good amount in the middle also, about 26, 27%. And then on the YouTube channels, we've had 536 plays on my channel of 1114 Traveler and 34 plays and 6 subscribers on the Colonel and Mr. Big. So if you add all those together, we're approaching probably 1,700 listens to the podcast, which
It's not
17
bad.
episodes and yeah,
Yeah, it's not
about
bad at all.
100 about
I
100
would
per.
ask those people that like my grandson who listens religiously, just share it with your friends. I mean, you got friends that, and I know there's a lot of people up in Wisconsin that listens to us religiously.
Yeah.
Just share it, pass it
I
forward, on the phone, and, let's get it out as much as we can. Again, we're not doing this to get rich or even try to make any money at all. We're just doing it because we have fun
no.
doing it, and, um
Yesterday, I was talking to my sister-in-law, she listens, and then, Tim Bruner, who's Ron Bruner's son, came up to me after Saturday night's basketball game, and, he had listened to our podcast about Bruner's selling to the aerodynamic company, aerospace company, or whatever it is, and, he actually asks and he said, that he would get back to me at a later date, but he's got an idea of wanting to record Ron and Barb's story and taken, I guess, kind of possibly going out to the ranch in Wyoming and sitting down with Ron and Barb and actually recording their story so they have it for generations to come. And a lot of that is stemming from Jason Anderson and Tim Bruner listening to our podcast. So people are listening. We just want them to go in and hit follow and like and subscribe.
I
So
mean, we would love to do that, and what we could do is we could do a segment, a segment, a podcast. We wouldn't have to do it all at one time. We could just do a
yeah,
segment per podcast, maybe a little bit and talk about the early times. And I mean, again, there's a guy that knows a lot of people, and if he would just share our podcast with people, it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
something like that. You know what? I don't have any intentions of being famous. There's nothing I mean, I'm too damn old to be famous, but it'd be kinda cool if we could get someone that of status that would I mean, he's of status, I'm not saying that, but, I mean, somebody that would just click on it one time and say, "Hey, these guys are pretty, pretty interesting." I
yeah.
mean,
Like a Pat McAfee.
like my daughter says, "It's just 2 old farts sitting around talking." I said, "You know what? That's what it's intended to be." I said, "You know what?
Yeah,
It's fun doing it's Mike and I can catch up and it's just great doing it and otherwise we probably wouldn't talk for months but
yeah. That's
hopefully
that.
go
That's the
ahead.
one big thing, Tommy, is, we talk almost every week now. And like you
Yeah.
said before, it might be every other month.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And we
that's
talk about
awesome.
local sports and things, so we kinda keep
Yeah.
track of what's going on with each other and
Yeah.
families and things like that, and, there's a lot of things we can do with it. I think this thing will grow and grow and, morph out into something that where we want it. It's not where we want it yet, I don't think. We
Right.
started out trying to be, sports, sex, politics, life. We do have life in there, so maybe we spend a little bit
Yeah.
more time on that kind of stuff. So, but I enjoy doing it. I look forward to doing it every week and just sitting around for an hour and talking, and hopefully people listen and just share it with your friends, share it with your family, and we'll do the same on our part. One thing I was going to talk about. I haven't done it, but I'm going to do it. I've started it. I'm going to do a sheet, a paper that has us on it, and then I'm going to take it to Erica's and put it on the bulletin board and maybe just put it around town in places. And,
Yeah.
we could probably, just by doing that. And I even thought, I don't know how much it'd cost. I even thought about putting an ad in a local newspaper, just, I mean, if it didn't cost a lot, if it cost like 50 to $100, I thought, "Man, what the hell? It'd kind of be fun to do that. Just put it in
Yeah.
there." And so, but we've got people in Wisconsin, we got people in Indiana. I've got people that I've worked with that listens to it. I know I got a friend down in Georgia that listens to us religiously. And again, there's a friend I haven't talked to in years, but I consider him a friend, him and his wife. And I'm so thankful that they listen. And maybe someday we can talk in a real person. But it's just fun to do. We get to give our opinions and our thoughts, and hopefully it helps some people somewhere along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah. I
Mike, you
love
have
doing
a
it
good
too.
week.
So
You have a good week,
you
and
too.
I've got basketball training this week. I'm going to work with Ayla this week on basketball. So I thought about paying $100 an hour, and I thought, why in the hell should I do that? I can do it myself. So uh,
Yeah. Exactly.
so I'll
Exactly.
be working with her this week, and you have a good week, and we'll talk about
You too.
later in the week when we're going to do this next week.
Sounds good. Have a great
All
week. Tell
all
everyone
right, you
hello and
too.
love you.
Love you. Take care.
All right. Yep. Bye.